There's one topic you know is going to come up at the Clinton Global Initiative. By 2050, there will be 9 billion people crowding the planet, and the United Nations is worried there may not be enough food for everyone. Some of the biggest players in agriculture are pledging to meet that challenge. Bloomberg's Peter Cook caught up with one of them down in Washington. Peter?
Eric, Pat Woertz is the CEO of Archer Daniels Midland, the world's biggest grain processor. The company is one of the 4 major agriculture and biotech businesses pledging to help double food production around the world by 2050. She spoke to me in an exclusive interview at a global hunger conference here in Washington.
It's absolutely essential that we find sustainable ways to meet the growing demand for food. As the population continues to grow, the demand for food obviously will grow with it.
You talked about some of the challenges, though. There are significant hurdles before we can achieve that kind of target.
Well, most definitely, and a lot of the challenges people discussed both today and in general are where the agriculture is grown isn't often next to the place where the market needs it, so where the population demand is growing. So there will need to be investment all the way through the chain, from the farm, actually even before the farm, in the laboratory, with seed technology, at the agricultural farming locations, with storage, with infrastructure, with processing, and then all the way through distribution and ultimately to markets.
What about trade? What concerns do you have as we sit here today? There are concerns about protectionism, rising protectionism here in 2009. How concerned are you about that? And again, what kind of challenge does that pose to reaching this kind of goal?
Well, I think, again, longer term, trade is global, and more acceptance of global trade is very important. Today, you do hear countries, not only this country but others, talking about turning inward as opposed to outward to have more interconnected solutions. So I think longer term global trade is one of the opportunities for continued growth that will, again, help this.
Are you worried about the current climate, the current discussion, the fact that we are talking so much about protectionism? We got the G20 this week. It's going to be a hot topic for the president and others.
Well, I think it's one of many topics that are hot and important, and absolutely it's one that's important to us, along with, again, sustainability, agriculture's commitment to the future, and many of the other items on the agenda.
Let me ask you about the sustainability side of this and some of the debate that played out in 2008, the food versus fuel debate. You all have a big investment, obviously, in ethanol. To what extent do those two tracks, if you will, run contrary to each other? Can we have large amounts of ethanol production and, again, also serve the food needs of a growing world?
Well, we do believe that it's an and world where the agriculture opportunities, again, in the growth, particularly in productivity, as well as sustainable productivity in the gathering and storing and infrastructure, as well as processing, to serve both the growing food needs as well as growing industrial product needs and fuel. An example, in this country, the USDA has estimated that we'll have the largest corn crop ever on record, and of that growth in just on the same acres, the ability to match the ethanol needs for corn is way outstripped by the additional yields this year. So again, the opportunity for crops to contribute to both of those frames, so to speak, are definitely in the future.
Let me ask you, if I could, just about the economy right now. What you're seeing right now, you operate obviously here in the U.S. and around the world. What are you seeing? Are you seeing signs of improvement?
Certainly for our business, we saw demand decline during this global recession, which is kind of unusual because people do need to eat, and food, there's been a lot of destocking. That demand is starting to come back, and we believe there is an upturn to that. Different markets are different results in different parts of the world, but overall speaking, in the global, particularly global protein demand, we do see coming back.
Now, another CEO involved in the Global Harvest Initiative, Deere & Company, Sam Allen, tells me he sees signs of recovery in some parts of the world, Brazil, for example, but he doesn't yet see it here in the U.S. Deirdre and Eric?
Thanks very much, Peter.